Hey, thanks again for pressing play and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast on the BLEAV Podcast Network, sponsored by FanDuel, where if you did what I did and you bet a combined thing called a parlay, or as a multi, that's what my Australian friends like to call it. And I took Grayson Allen 4 assists because he's been banging that one. I combined it with 8 rebounds from Mark Williams, and Ryan Dunn just had to grab that last rebound from Mark Williams, son of a bitch. But had you done that, you could have got plus 133, but it didn't hit. But talking about the game tonight, playing the Utah Jazz on Halloween, and I'll tell you this, Jamsters, there's one place that the Phoenix Suns haven't spent much time this season, and that's ahead on the scoreboard. But on a spooky Halloween night, inside a building drenched in orange light, with that orange court for the NBA Cup, and they had that black threaded swagger, something strange happened. The Suns flipped the script. They jumped out to a 20-point lead in the first quarter, and get this, they held it the whole way through. No horror movie collapse, no late game ghosting, no Michael Myers coming from beyond the scoreboard to try to kill him, no Jason with the hockey mask on, no. And how'd they pull that off, you might ask? By leaning into their new identity. They pressed, they clawed. Devin Booker led the charge, cool as ever. No issues here with his body language, ladies and jamsters. And they were slicing up Utah like a pumpkin under a porch light. And for one night in Phoenix, the haunted house was theirs. So the Suns took home their second win of the season. And yeah, it was a little spooky how good they looked doing it. But it's not going to be spooky having this podcast and for you hanging out with us. So I got a couple special guests on because Matthew's probably still out there trick-or-treating because he's a madman. So let's drop the music.
Session Podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.
Well, welcome aboard. Welcome to my favorite Aussies. I've got Gavin and DJ Nate from the Aussies Suns Fan Podcast joining me. How you doing, guys? It's not very often we get together after a win.
It's been a while since we've gotten together at all, but thanks for having us on. I always love jumping on Suns Jam for a post-game podcast, especially when it's a win. It's always a little bit more positive than when it's a loss. I don't know why that happens. But anyway.
Let's not get too accustomed to the L's.
Exactly. I agree. Enjoy. Again, this season is one that I feel is going to be defined by effort. And tonight was one of those games where we witnessed something that was a little bit different about the Phoenix Suns. And it brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Now, obviously, neither one of you are Matthew, but I'm still going to ask you, both Gavin and Nate. I want to know, when's the last time the Suns went up by 20 and held the fucking line?
3 years ago?
Like for an entire game. Now, there's been instances where they've gone up 20 and they've lost, or they've gone up 20 late. But like even Gavin, like he's speechless there. He doesn't know he's doing. I see you mathematically computing, trying to understand when the last time that happened. When did it happen?
2021, maybe.
Jeez,
it's been a while.
It's been quite a while.
Oh no, maybe the 64 win season, right? There would have been some games in there.
Yeah, we did have some blowouts in there, didn't we?
Yeah. And held those, but yeah, pretty much after the COVID Dallas series, I don't think there's been much since.
I can't believe you're making me go back 3-4 years to think about the last good game we had.
But that's what's crazy. And it's not necessarily about a good game. It's just a game in which the team held the line. And when you take a look at this game holistically, 118-96 being the final score, a situation in which this is a team that we played just 2 games ago, a team that completely owned us on the glass, a team that made Oso Ighodaro look like the G League player that he might be, and Ryan Dunn was out of the game in no time. And just 2 games later, we're reminded that hard work pays off, that sticking to the game plan pays off. Do you guys, well, I'll ask you this, and because this is your first time being on the podcast this season, I just want to know what your guys' feeling is on this team, because it's a very interesting place right now between Suns podcasters, Suns media, the Suns fandom, how people are absorbing this team. And you guys are recording tomorrow our time, right?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So this might be a preview of maybe some topics you're going to talk about there. But, I'll start with Gav. How are you feeling about this team now that we're 6 games into it and they're 2-4?
Well, number one, thank you so much for watching our episode last week, because this is what we went through.
I'd like to listen to your podcast, and you don't release them on audio anymore.
It is.
Man.
It's back on Spotify. We're back on Spotify, people. Just so that
That's
you know.
good to know.
Look, I think this is going to be. It's going to be a very, very tough season for us as Suns fans when it comes to win column. But I do think that we still will enjoy some of the output from this team, just from an effort standpoint in comparison to what we saw last year. And I think that comes down to expectation as well. Last year we went into the season expecting the team to be a contender, right? At the start of the year, we expected the team to be a contender, and
did we though?
That's why last season was so painful. This season, I think we're kind of going in with a little bit of, definitely with less expectation, and we just want to see the effort that's rolled out. And look, the Utah game from a couple of days ago, I think was frustrating because it was one that we probably should have walked away with a win. We actually played quite well apart from the shooting. Even against Memphis, same sort of thing. Where the hustle was there, everything was there. We just didn't shoot the ball well. Tonight that came together a little bit. We're going to have games like tonight that we really enjoy when the ball finds the bottom of the net. But my expectation is this is a sub 30 win team. And it's just going to be about how we build over the course of this season. I know we don't have a draft pick, but I still think there's some pieces on this roster that we can add some value to by the end of this year, where we may be able to make some moves at around the trade deadline.
What are you thinking, Nate?
Let's just start. What we talked about last episode on our pod was Gav just said sub 30 team. I went the overs on a Ladbrokes, our betting agency had the Suns at over and under at 32 wins. I very generously took the over.
You took the over, huh?
I think I still, even with the 30, I think you said that even with the 32 wins, it still puts us out of the play-in. So at best, I still think we're a play-in, and this is optimistically, I think we're a play-in team.
But that being said, after watching 6 games, do you feel like reality is hit? Because it almost sounds like you're somewhat ashamed that you took the over, right?
I'm still optimistic, but okay. I wouldn't say ashamed. I think no one like Gav, you just said less expectation, not no expectations, and I kind of feel like there's no expectations on this team this season.
Can I just throw a caveat in there though, John? We still haven't seen this team at full strength. I'm really interested to see the dynamic when Jalen Green's out there, because I just think Jalen Green's style of basketball will kind of fit what we're trying to do at the moment. We still probably lack a ball handler in that sense, but his dynamic and athleticism that will add into this team is going to free some of these guys up in order to actually change the way we play offense, which over the first 6 games has been our sticking point, is our offense.
Yeah, agreed. And I will say this, to say that we don't have expectations, because you're hearing that continually. Everybody's saying, well, I don't have expectations for this team. And I feel like that unto itself is somewhat of a false statement, because to have no expectations is still an expectation. You're expecting for them not to be good. You're expecting them to not be a team that's in the playoff picture. What you are expecting, and what you see continually in conversations within the media, and you're expecting leadership from Booker. You're expecting, as Gavin just said, when Jalen Green does play, he's going to put pressure on the cylinder. You're expecting development from your rookies. So while your expectations might not be quote unquote high expectations relative to the overall success of the team, you still have expectations of what you're going to see, how this team is going to play, what effort they're going to play with, and potentially some development along the way. And I think that that's been one of the frustrations within media and fan base is the lack of patience, impatience. And that's one thing I continually talk about. I write about on Bright Side of the Sun. I'll continue to say here on the Suns Jam Session podcast is we need to exercise patience, because everyone's like, we got out rebounded tonight. We want to see Kaman Mala watch. We could have used an extra wing to defend. We need to see Rasheer Fleming. It's like, all in due time, man. There's 75 fucking games left. And, and that's just short. So, with all that being said, nights like tonight are a good encapsulation of the things that I do expect from this team and that we have seen this year. And that is effort, and that is tenacity, and that's attacking the cylinder on both the offensive and defensive end, grabbing rebounds, which we never did last year, playing some defense. Has it been successful thus far this season? It hasn't. 1, we played the Clippers. 2, we played the Nuggets. And 3, when we lost to the Jazz and we lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, both were good quality games that we just didn't come out on top. So like when I see comments like this, like Michael Kolb in the chat says, I don't understand why effort like this isn't seen every game. That's on the coach. You have to demand it going forward. The effort's been there. Like, how do people not see the effort? Just because the result doesn't equate to a win, the effort has been there. The reason the Suns won tonight isn't solely because they played with effort and tenacity. The fucking Jazz shot 37.5% from the field and 32% from beyond the arc. They missed their shots, just like the Suns have done too. Yeah, so are you guys seeing the effort? Are you seeing the grind? Are you seeing the things that we were sold by Brian Gregory and Matt Ishbia this past offseason? Are you seeing that come to fruition thus far at the beginning of the season?
I am. And even though our opposition shot high percentage from the field over those first, let's say, 5 games, the effort was still there. The hustle was still there. It was just that opposition teams shot the ball well.
Yeah.
Tonight, we saw the result of, and look, over the first 5 games of the year, generally everyone's fully healthy. You're going to see the best results out of people especially over the first 20 games of the season. So tonight, what we saw was that hustle from probably the first time we played Utah actually start to kick in this game, where they felt more under pressure with every shot. You tack in the Phoenix crowd, which is always great, and a bit of noise that isn't supportive, and it's actually negative towards the Utah Jazz, and we see the result in their shooting percentages. But the effort's been there. It's just that our opposition shot well and we've shot poorly. That's the way I've seen the first 6 games.
Well, you want to talk about hustle, Gav? Like, you introduced that new segment to our pod with the tracking the Dan Marley Hustle Award each week. And I kind of thought going into our last pod, it was going to be unanimous. It'd be one guy, Dylan Brooks, the whole time because of what he brings. But I think we all had someone. I think you picked Colin Gillespie. I picked Dylan Brooks. Boyd picked Ryan Dunn. And it just goes to show that we actually have a lot of players putting the effort in, doing the hustle, doing the hard work, and showing the effort you were talking about, John, every game.
And I want to talk more about this game, but again, the fact that this is my first conversation with you guys this season, it's good to get just another point of view versus the grind. So a couple more things I want to get to, because I think this is a good topic too. Felix in the chat, he goes, "What's the point of being a 20 to 38 win team and not playing our young guys?" And I'll do my best to try to answer this before I allow you guys an opportunity to do so. We will play our young guys. Everybody needs to settle down, okay? I talked about this and wrote about it this entire offseason. Strategically, how you approach this season is you come in from a foundational standpoint. You need to set the culture. You need to not play your young guys. You need to play the guys who are the culture setters. Those are the Dylan Brooks, the Mark Williamses, the Nick Richards even. And simultaneously, you're seeing what those guys are, what their value is. Mark Williams is on a rookie contract, right? There's an opportunity to extend him next offseason. He's going to be a restricted free agent. Currently, he's at $6 million. the qualifying offer is going to be about $8 million. You want to see what he has. You're not going to see what he has if he's sitting on the bench while Kalman Malawach is out there developing. Same thing with Nick Richards, $5 million. You want to put him out there, see what he has, maybe drum up some excitement for him on the trade market and potentially get something in return come trade deadline, or maybe he's good enough to where you keep him next year. And Kalman Malawach will play. Have no doubt about that. The 19-year-old center will play. But if anybody, and this is where I kind of fall back to, I wonder the age of the people who are banging the desk for Kalman Malawach and Rasheer Fleming, because I don't know if they remember what it was like to throw to throw guys out there and create failed experiments like Marquise Chris, like Dragon Bender, okay, like Alex Len, bunch of guys who we threw out there right away. They developed bad habits, and ultimately it hurt their careers. Alex Len's still drifting around the league somewhere like a zombie, but everybody else is out of the league. Why? Because you rushed it, because you didn't practice patience. So everybody who's like, well, you need to play your young guys because you're not going to win anything anyways. It's like, you will play the young guys at some point, but right now you need to see who and what you have. You have to develop a culture. So when those guys step on the court, there's an expectation of a culture that's already been there. It's like, hey, look at the way Mark Williams plays. Look at the production that he has. Okay, we need you to do that. Not be like, hey, figure out who you are on the court. Let's lose some games while you're at it. Next thing you know, he's an unconfident asset who's ultimately hurt himself in the long term of his career, and we're the ones who ultimately have to pay for it.
And look, it's in particular those big guys. The guys you just rolled off the tongue were big guys, right? Like, okay, guards probably have different output in comparison to what these big guys do. The big guys take some time to develop. Malawach has played basketball for 5 years, guys. 5 years. Like, I think he shows really, really good. He is going to be an exceptional long-term player for the Suns. But this year, I wouldn't have an expectation that he's going to play in excess of 20 minutes a game. He shouldn't be playing in excess of 20 minutes a game. He should be spending this year learning about the trade.
Yes.
Look, you even piggybacking off some of the previous comments, we talk about youth and why we're not playing them. You could ask the same question of Utah, right? Everyone expected Utah to just be bottom of the rung, bow out. They spent their 5th pick on Ace Bailey, and he's only getting limited minutes. So you could ask the same question, why aren't Utah playing Ace Bailey as a starter like they did in preseason? But the same thing you were saying. They've got to develop, they've got to learn the system, they've got to grow into this league. And I think what it shows is by not playing our youth is the team's actually trying to win. Yes. They're trying to give us W's without just coming out and putting rookies out there outside of garbage time and costing W's. So I think it goes back to that effort point and what we're seeing each game, even if it's not equating to wins, that at least the team is putting in the effort and the coach is giving us a rotation that can possibly win.
And I'll say to anybody who wants to see a lot of young guys play, just go watch the Washington Wizards, man. Like, you could go watch Brooklyn, who drafted 5 guys in the first round. They're all getting run. That team's not going to win 10 games, and they're all going to develop bad habits. And it's just it's this cycle that we see, and we want to try to avoid here. And again, just have patience because you will get it. You will get it. All right.
We'll see them on the floor.
We will. 100%. We saw them tonight. Hey, you win by 20. You get them all you want. All right. All right. Let's talk.
Before we move off that, John, just one question to you and Gav. How important do you think this win was to the team doing it without the Houston additions? So none of the trade pieces that we got back for Durant played tonight, and they did it as a team. They got a big W. How do you reckon important that was to the actual team?
I think,
or do you reckon it's a non-factor?
I think it's more of it's good for the team from a mental perspective because they've been so close earlier this week, right? Losing in overtime to the Jazz, losing to Memphis by 1 point. It feels like you're close, and you want to see some wins stack up because the effort that you're putting in, you can continue, you can build off of that. And if you continue to lose, unfortunately, one of the disadvantages of losing is it starts to beat players down emotionally. And I think that this is, albeit the Jazz, man, this is a team whose over-under was 19.5 this year. If you go to FanDuel.com and you put money on the Jazz this year, you were betting that they were going to not win 20 games. And I don't think they're going to win 20 games. So there's an aspect of it to where you're like, okay, we beat a shitty team, but you're supposed to beat the shitty team. Now it's, and we'll talk about at the back end of this podcast, when Wemby comes to town on Sunday, you're really going to learn a lot about you. What do you think, Gav?
Yeah, it's look, from a confidence, it's good for the confidence overall, but look, we had a player that had to go to Armani mode a few times to make sure that 20-point lead was maintained, which is what we expect from Devin Booker, let's be honest. I love the confidence of some of the role players that have come out of the last couple of games in particular. And I could talk about role players, but I'd love to, and hopefully we will talk a little bit more in depth about Colin Gillespie and his place in this team as we move forward in this pod, John. But it was important that we won this one because those couple of losses, those tight losses, I think, as John said, probably had us in a position that another close loss might have beat down a few of these guys a little bit.
I agree. I completely agree. All right, let's talk about the bright side of things in this game. Tell me the bright side. All right, we'll start with Nate. Give me a bright side. Give me something good that you saw from this game.
Grayson Allen in the first half. I mean, what a standout. That was, when I think back of the game, it was definitely two different halves. It felt like watching the half one and half two were completely different from my point of view watching the game. But watching Grayson Allen really, I think, wow, I broke down on a piece of paper. Wow. He just played an all-round great game. He was reliable on every side of the ball. And I just to sit back and watch someone other than Booker step up. And we always ask a lot of Grayson. I think we always talk about it, Gav, that we need him to step up in the absence of, the new additions. But he really did. And I don't think it was quite there in the second half from him. But for me, that's what stood out.
So to your point, Nate, 9 points from Grayson Allen in the first half, 6 total rebounds, 3 assists, a couple steals. Really just as we talk about effort, he was one of the guys who was putting it in, ended with a total of 14 points, 7 total rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 1 block shot, 1 amazing block shot, mind you, on Walker Kessler.
Yeah.
Again, Grayson Allen has to be a key to this team, especially to your point a little bit earlier, with the Rockets out, with the KD additions out, with no Jalen Green, no Dylan Brooks. Grayson Allen's going to be put in a position to be successful. It's on him to ultimately become successful. What do you see, Gav? Who gets your bright side?
For me, it is. I'm going to stick with Colin Gillespie. I just
hold on. Let me play his drop, okay? Because Colin's got a new drop, and I kind of like it, and it makes me laugh.
Your villain junior is Colin Gillespie.
And I call it Gillespie.
All right, so Colin Gillespie in this game, coming off the bench, almost 28 minutes played, 12 points on 4 of 8 from the field, 4 of 7 from beyond the arc, 6 assists, 1 steal. Tell me about Colin, man, because he continues to just wow.
The more I watch Colin Gillespie, the more I feel this team is balanced when he's out on the floor. Now, as you both know, I have always been an advocate of positionless basketball. I rode the wave of we
start Chimezi Metu. Am I right?
Just start Chimezi Metu. We don't need a point guard as such. Point guards just don't matter that much in the NBA anymore. But Colin Gillespie might be the person that's going to twist my arm around, because this team just offensively seems so much more balanced when Colin Gillespie's on the floor. Defensively, he's the villain junior, right? He is buzzing the entire time. His passing's great. He's hitting those outside shots, which we've really struggled with over the first 6 games. The last few games, he's really started to string together some outside shooting. But he's just he reminds me of TJ McConnell and what TJ McConnell delivered last year in the playoffs for the Pacers. He comes in, he gives that energy. He just provides so much to this team around balance. And for me, I think that was the real bright side out of this game today, was just the output of Colin Gillespie.
And I'll tell people out there, and I love that you said TJ McConnell, and everyone who's like Nash,
he's not Steve Nash.
He's not, and even though Nash is back around the organization, people are like, you think he's learning things from Nash? I'm like, no, like we should hope he is TJ McConnell, because TJ McConnell has some motherfucker in him. And Colin Gillespie has some motherfucker. He takes dagger threes. And the one thing that I really didn't appreciate until tonight, in all honesty, was the level of his handle. He's actually he's got that ball in a string a little bit. A lot more credit than I give him, I guess. Peter and the chat asked this question. I think this is a good question. Colin Gillespie coming off the bench when Green finally plays. So let's say it's Sunday and Jalen Green's available to play. Do the Suns start him, or do they continue, or do they give Colin Gillespie a start? What do you guys think?
I think there'll probably be a minutes restriction to start with, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him come off the bench, especially after a W, because they've got some cohesiveness at the moment. But I don't think
they start either.
Yeah. You think it's still Grayson and Booker?
Yeah,
I think that's probably the right way to go. But I'm not going to lie. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing a little Colin Gillespie out there to start here and there, and especially when Jalen Green comes back, kind of, because to your point, Nate, a minutes restriction might be an opportunity for Colin Gillespie. So we'll see.
I just hope that Coach Ott gives him the opportunity moving forward with, 2 extra players on the court, sharing those minutes around. I still hope that Colin Gillespie gets the opportionity.
I believe he will. I believe that there's going to be – I think the rotation for Colin Gillespie will primarily stay the same on the front end of the game. I think the back end of the game, when things get a little bit tighter, and where Colin's actually been really effective thus far this season, that's going to be the interesting part, because you got to think, past couple games, Colin Gillespie's been closing the games, and that's going to be Jalen Green's minutes. So it'll be interesting to see how, if we ever experience the Jalen Green experience here in Phoenix, how Coach Ott navigates the end of games. A quick shout out. Let's see here. Somebody said their bright side was Mark Williams. Again, Mark Williams, grab 8 rebounds, dude. I needed that for some money. My bright side in this game is the fact, and it kind of plays into the Mark Williams conversation. This team knows that lobs exist. That's my bright side. The fact that this team realizes, like, oh shit, we can throw it up and the guy's going to throw it down. Because I feel like the past couple seasons, especially when you got Nurkic and you got Mason Plumlee and Drew Eubanks, these guys that we've had over the past couple years, anytime you throw what looked like a lob, it would always be a lob that they would grab, bring down, and then try to go back up, and it ultimately would lead to a negative possession. With Mark Williams, Nick Richards to a certain extent, Oso, even though I don't think that he should be playing center, I think he's a power forward. All of those guys can go up and grab a lob. And you're starting to see this understanding with, especially like Devin Booker, a bad pass to Ryan Dunn at one point. But you're starting to see them go, okay, I can throw this up and guys are going to go get it down. Now you got to remember that Phoenix Suns, I believe they were last in the league last year in dunks. This year, they're 11th, 25 dunks coming into tonight. In fact, one of the things, if you look at our podcast art, we're constantly changing the attribute meter to reflect where the Suns stand in certain attributes. Dunks is one of them. And they're a top-tier dunk team. They're top third of the league in dunks, essentially. So it's nice to see that. Now, obviously, the other side of the bright side is the burn book.
The school board felt that it was best that we investigate every claim made in this burn book.
The Suns Jam Session. Burn book. All right, so the thing I'm burning here is the fact that you saw it again. Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen both knew it. Teams around the league are, if they don't know it, they will start to enact this strategy. Attack the Suns sophomores, Oso and Ryan Dunn, and you're going to get to the line because both guys reach into the cookie jar way too much. Oso Ighodaro had 5 fouls in like 14 minutes. Yeah, 14 minutes of gameplay. It was like 10 minutes left in the second. He got his 5th foul. He fouled out at the very beginning of the 4th. Ryan Dunn ends with a total of 4 fouls? Sounds about right. It's only 2? Well, they were. He only had 2. Well, I'm surprised there. I will say that both of them resulted in shooting fouls in situations where Keontae George and or Lauri Markkanen both had an opportunity to shoot free throws. So the Suns need to get better in that area, man. You can't go. I get that they want to be aggressive. I wrote a whole article about this, how the league overall is getting called for more fouls, and the Suns are right up there because of the fact that they just foul too much. So that's what I wanted to burn in this one, throw these guys in the burn book. What do you got, Gav?
Yeah, you basically took the words right out of my mouth, John. It's
Gross.
I think both Ryan and Oso have a long way to go to the point where they're almost a detriment to the starting lineup and certainly the finishing lineup at the moment. And they've got Ryan in particular. I just think he needs something a little bit more, because and we talk about Jalen Green coming back. We talk about whether or not we start Colin Gillespie. Do we move Book to the small forward? Do we play a bit smaller? Does Royce O'Neal start? And Ryan comes off the bench, because right now he's just not. He's not in our best starting. He's not a player in our best starting five. From my point of view, where he sits right now, he's still got some work to do.
What do you think about that, Nate? And what do you got?
I'm a little offended, to be honest. I don't want to burn the two sophomores by any means whatsoever. I was hoping Ryan Dunn would get a starting position, whatever, be power forward. I think it was the only place left for him to fit in. I think he needs the opportunity to grow. I think he really is Mikal Bridges light. And
oh no,
yeah,
he can't score, man. He can't score.
Not yet.
How long do we give? 1 of 7 from beyond the arc tonight. 1 of 7. He can't shoot.
I'm just not ready to burn him yet. I like him in the starting lineup, so to speak. His stats, like from a box score point of view, he's slightly improving each week, albeit generally he is in foul trouble. Yes, you're right. He does reach the cookie jar way too often, but that's going to calm down. He can't keep to that. Won't do that all season. I'm high on him, by the end of the season. I don't think what we see now is what we see at the end of the season.
And so you're that guy. you're the part of the fan base, and that's good though. It's a holistic view of Ryan Dunn, because Matthew is absolutely out on Ryan Dunn, and I'm in the middle. I'm somebody who says I continue want to see I want to see him have the opportunity. The challenge that I truly believe for Ryan Dunn is the fact that he's miscast on this team. He's not a power forward. He would succeed as a small forward. Okay, he's a 3, 100%.
I agree with you.
He's 6'6". He shouldn't be trying to body up 4s. And if you want to be a modern 4, you have to either shoot the ball very well or have the ability to score on the interior. Ryan Dunn really can't do either. He's somebody he's really good at cutting. He can catch the alley-oop, but and he has a little bit of a handle. He can generate his own shot, but he doesn't finish his own shot. And again, his three-point shooting is atrocious, and I want him to develop. It would be so great for the Suns if he could develop into that Mikal Bridges light, into a Sean Marion light. That's the best-case scenario for him. But my challenge with it is we've consistently not seen it yet. And at some point and that's why I love the fact that he's getting
season.
What's that?
It's his second season.
It is, though. But all right. So, but when you have young guys who are not young, in his case, he's 24 years old, right? A guy who went to college 4 years. At what point do you go, okay, this guy doesn't have it? And that's what you see consistently over the league. Because take a look at, all right, Stephon Castle, it's his second year. Guy's fucking fantastic. There's a lot of guys who differentiate themselves in their second year. That's what the first year is the adjustment year. I get it. Basketball is now your job. You're learning the ebbs and flows of the NBA. You're playing a season that is twice as long as your college season. So there's a lot of adjustment in that first year. But
so you've seen 6 games, and you're saying, yeah, he hasn't differentiated himself.
Absolutely. Through 6
not
games.
Not at the level of the role that we have an expectation of him now. So everybody expects Ryan Dunn to be Mikal Bridges, and he's not. He's not even close to Mikal Bridges.
He's entering this game. He's shooting 28.4 or 28.6% from beyond the arc, and that's going to drop drastically after going 1 of 7. He hasn't proven that he's an elite defender on the Mikal Bridges side. Like on both sides of the ball, he hasn't impressed me to this point of the season. That's not to say that he can't. And again, that's the goal this season, is to put him in a position to grow. But to this point, like, how can you look at what you've seen this season and go, yeah, he's trending the right direction? He's not trending the right direction. It's 6 games. Yes, I understand that. But he's not trending in the right direction.
And I'm not right. And again, I'm not writing Ryan Dunn off. I just don't think he's where he needs to be right now. But as we said, the great thing about this season is he's going to have the opportunity to develop into that. But at the moment, he's probably, if we look at and let's utilize the trending wordplay, he's not on the trend line where we'd expect him to be right now. He's behind that, and he needs to lift to that level.
And I will say, like Peter in the chat, he goes, would Dunn start over Kuminga if the Suns had him? No, Kuminga would start and also make $20 million more. That's the other thing. And that's what's the advantage of Ryan Dunn right now is on your cap sheet, he's appropriately paid as you try to understand who and what he is as a player. It's the number one frustration with Ryan Dunn is the fact that his shot looks so good. Like he squares to the basket. There's no hitch in it like Mikal Bridges had. It's a smooth looking shot. It just doesn't fall. Yeah. And the hope is with continual opportunity, he'll develop. The challenge that I've always had with Ryan Dunn is I think that his ceiling is a rotational wing player.
Yeah.
Who's somebody who the Suns should have backing up Dylan Brooks coming in, being a point of attack defender. Because again, right now, as the starting four, quote unquote, he's having to guard the point of attack. Well, what does that do to your defense? Now your typical point of attack defender, you're trying to hide somewhere, and one of those guys you're hiding on is the opposing power forward. They just don't have the size to do that. And that was the challenge in the game against the Jazz on Monday. Today, we saw a much more active Ryan Dunn, much more active on the offensive glass. Again, 13 points and 10 rebounds. Okay, 2 of those in the offensive glass, had 2 steals. I mean, he was fortifying Nate's point of view to a certain extent. And so, again, that's going to be the Ryan Dunn journey. And it's one of the most intriguing storylines of this season. All right, one thing I do want to hit you guys with is a little Dave Stat Me. I thought I clicked the button.
Ooh, Dave Stat Me.
All right, so everybody's kind of been talking about this guy.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Big Dick Booker.
And I really want to get your guys' point of view on Devin Booker, because a lot of people are saying, what's up with Devin Booker? What's going on? Yada, yada, yada. So here's a stat for you guys. Devin Booker now, this season, in his 11th season, is averaging 30.3 points per game after going for 36 points tonight. He also had 9 assists, 5 rebounds. He was 13 of 23 from the field and 6 of 9 from beyond the arc. Giggity. Do you think that Devin Booker ever has scored through the first 6 games of the season more than 30.3 points per game?
No.
What do you think, Nate?
No, I don't.
The answer is actually yes. 2 years ago, he had 31.5 points per game in the 23-24 season. But before that, the next highest is 29.3. The season prior to that, 22-23 season. So this is the second highest scoring output of his career to start a season. So what are you guys seeing from Devin Booker? And do you think that everybody is a little too premature in their panic?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I think we've all been frustrated over, not including tonight, over the first 5 games. We were probably frustrated because there were shots that we would have expected that Devin Booker would have taken, but instead he was passing out. But the guy was still averaging 30 points a game. He was still Devin Booker. Yes, he's deferring a little bit more than what we would probably expect. But I think that's once again, we go back to the word expectation. The reason we expect that Devin Booker won't defer at all now is because Kevin Durant doesn't play for us anymore. So every time Devin Booker's got the ball, he should shoot. That's just it's going to be a natural reaction for what we have. But the fact of the matter is he's still taking, well, he probably took a few less field goal attempts per game over those first 4 games. That was because Dylan Brooks decided that he had to take 28 shots a game for some reason. But he was still providing that output that Devin Booker does. So look, I personally, my own opinion is Book's always been the type of player that sort of worked himself into a season and then really hit his straps sort of after the first 10 games or so. And I think that's what we'll see from, we definitely saw it tonight. Devin Booker was he hit Armani mode a couple of times tonight, and it was old school Book.
I think you've got to be a little bit patient with where he fits into the team too, because there's no rotational consistency around him. Every time he's out there, I think the starting lineup changes, the minutes distribution changes. He's not playing with his full team. I just think you can't judge his, you want to say lackluster first few games in comparison to what he's produced tonight or what he produced.
I love that we call it lackluster.
I know, right?
I know, right? Or top 10 fantasy value that he's supposed to hold up. But I think, once we get more consistency in the rotation, once we get all the pieces around him, once the minute distribution starts to level out, I think you're going to see a lot more consistency in Book's play as well.
I agree. It's a matter of him looking comfortable out there. And I think that's what a lot of people have keyed in. It's like, well, he doesn't really look comfortable. It's like, well, if this is an uncomfortable Book and he's averaging 30 a game, that's still a good thing for the team, And you need to have a Batman. Shout out to my shirt tonight, wearing a Batman thing. Although I have no subreddit stakeout. I'm sorry, people. Normally I would do a subreddit stakeout, but I was monitoring Utah's subreddit, and they're fucking boring and don't comment. Like, those people need to drink some Pepsi or something, man. Get some caffeine flowing. Come up with a sense of humor. Say something funny.
In saying that, they were 20 down after about 6 minutes. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure most of them went to church and prayed or something like that.
Yeah, they were trick or treating or something. But that being said, every team needs a Batman. Devin Booker's playing like a Batman. People just, again, it's a matter of expectations relative to what he should look like doing it. And I get it's not the most efficient Book, but he's putting the points on the scoreboard when they're needed. And I love the point that you bring up, Nate, because it's so true. There's no rotational consistency around this guy. I mean, how many different lineups has he played with already this season? It's got to be 15, 20 lineups of different types of guys out there that he's trying to figure out who and what they are and where they fit on the court and fit it, and what can he do off an action to get to his spot that's going to make him comfortable and successful and still putting up 30 points. So again, everybody just chill on Devin Booker. It's going to be okay. And again, 36 points tonight. Absolutely.
No, I was talking about the 9 assists. The funniest part of the game was listening to EJ and K-Ray talk about him going for his 10th assist and stat chasing. He's like, if you've earned 9, you deserve the 10. Go get it, boy.
Somebody make it. He could have had like 17. The team wasn't making shots at the front end of the game. And again, a reminder to everybody, the Suns won by, math, 22 points. Is that right? Is that 22?
Yeah, it was 22.
Thank you. I'm not an accountant. They shot 47% from the field. They shot 35% from beyond the arc. That's not what won the game for them. From a rebounding perspective, they were out rebounded 48-44. What really saved the Suns tonight was the turnover battle. The Suns forced 21 turnovers, and you could say forced. The Jazz threw the ball away a couple times. But they only had 12. So if you look at the points off turnover battle, it's 29-13 advantage Suns.
That's how many times did we have that conversation last season?
Oh my God, man. Last 2 years. Because how many times did Kevin Durant dribble it off his fucking...
I was wondering how long it would take KD.
He's at the top of the key. But even there, and you talk about the 9 assists for Book tonight, he only had 1 turnover.
Yes.
And I know that against Denver, I think it was, where Book didn't have his best night. I think that was the game he had 18, probably had 9 turnovers as well.
Yeah.
Didn't have a great night. But tonight, 9 assists, 1 turnover, 36 points. I mean, that's the efficient Book that we want to see moving forward. Doesn't have to be 36 points every night. Well, it'd be nice if it's 36 every night. But the fact is that he looked a lot more comfortable tonight as well.
Absolutely. All right, there was one wrinkle that I don't know if any of us were truly prepared for tonight.
Where's my dog?
Jordan dog wins.
There's my dog.
I don't know how many of you had 17 minutes from Jordan Goodwin on your bingo card. He had 7 points. He had 3 assists. He had 4 rebounds. He had 1 steal. Were you surprised to see Jordan Goodwin as a part of this rotation?
Not with the
Definitely
outs.
surprised to see him on the floor.
Yeah.
No, not with the outs. I wasn't as such. I thought he might have played a bit more tonight. His output was great, but I mean, let's be honest. He needed to contribute given the fact that he had the opportunity tonight. But when Brooks and Green are back, we're not going to be having this conversation. So it really doesn't matter. It's great that he contributed tonight in the opportunity he had, but it's not going to lead him into regular minutes for this team, I don't think.
I feel that his post-game interview with Tom Chambers on the Sun Studio post-game was his first and last appearance on that show.
Well, his post-game was better than Ja Morant's.
I didn't see that.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
No.
Do yourself a favor, check it out. Ja Morant will not be in Memphis much longer.
Really? I shall check this out. All right, well, let's get into some jam stuff.
Jam star of the game.
Jamsters, a reminder, hit that thumbs up button if you happen to be watching on YouTube, please. Helps with the algorithms. If you haven't subscribed, I think we're one subscriber away from 3,900, not 1,000 yet. But I'd like to get to 4,000 subscribers. It's been like 3 years. We've been stuck at under 4,000.
Come on, guys. Just hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Boyd, you've got 7 different aliases and you're commenting on all of them in the chat at the moment. All you have to do is subscribe with all 7, not just one.
Yeah, subscribe.
Or he could have just logged in and joined the pod.
I know. He'd rather be a troll in 4 different YouTube accounts on 3 different screens. You know, there's a couple of people I found in the past. I'm like, that's got to be Boyd, and then I'm like,
they were all Boyd.
They were all Boyd. But let us know also in the chat who your jam star of the game is. Nate, I'll start with you. Who are you giving the jam star of the game to in this one?
I think we're all going to end up saying the same player, so I'm going to lead with worth a mention was Grayson Allen.
Oh, I thought
I brought him up as my first half hero. And when you look at the whole game, obviously it's going to Book, but I think that it's worth mentioning Grayson Allen's performance in this discussion before we land on the inevitable.
What do you got, Gav?
Devin Booker.
Yeah, I think it's that simple. I mean, you take a look at the chat. BDB jam star from Saul, Booker for jam star from Casillas, Book, that's it from Seth, D Book for jam star for some sweet fever. I mean, 36, almost 10 assists. But just a great game for him, and for me, it was the 3-pointers. The fact that he was throwing daggers from 3. You don't get a lot of dagger games from Booker from beyond the arc. You really don't. It's just not who he is. So I appreciate that he was doing that. Taking a look towards Sunday, which is Monday for you guys over there in Australia.
It is.
The alien comes to town. Wemby.
We're playing against an alien.
What do you look for in this game, guys?
Some sort of injury that gets him out of the game in the first quarter.
Damn.
I don't think there's going to be empty sideline seats at halftime this time. I mean, if you watch the broadcast today, is the halftime too quick because all the expensive seats were empty when the third quarter started? I don't think
it always.
Have you seen the spread
that's going to happen when Wemby comes to town.
Have you seen the spread they've got downstairs? I'd stay downstairs too.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're sitting in those seats, you're shooting the shit with people, eating food, having some beers, and half times are quick. Half times are how many minutes?
They're getting quicker.
15.
They're like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's 12.
Yeah, 12.
And so, I mean, that's barely enough time to take a shit, you know. So if you have a halftime,
I don't know what you're having for lunch, but anyway,
depends on the spread. But you take a look at Sunday night. The Spurs, I mean, so here's my stance on the Spurs, and I was very adamant with some people that I talked to at work. One of my buddies is a Spurs fan, and I said, like, until I see it, like, I have to see it. The challenge with the Spurs these past 2 years with Wemby is those haven't been successful teams, and Wemby is unbelievable, but I need consistency from him. Well, he's come out, he's been unbelievably. Who has him in our fantasy league? Because they got to be. Oh, how's he doing for you?
He's doing very well.
He's like, that would be me.
Oh yeah, I already locked him in. I think 58.
My opponent had him last week, and the 4 games he played, he had like 65 fantasy points per game.
So you played Nate last week.
No, in a different one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I kicked Boyd's ass last week.
Yeah, I mean it's It's not hard to beat Boyd. It's unbelievable what this guy does. And so what's going to be interesting is there's two things to look for in this one, Suns fans. One, is this a game where we see Jalen Green? Because if we do see Jalen Green, one thing that Jalen Green likes to do is pressure the rim. The other thing with the Suns is that's where they score a lot of points, man. They pressure the rim. This is not a mid-range shooting team. They're going to try to hit threes, and they're going to attack the rim. And you got Wemby lurking, and he can block your shot from if you're shooting a three from the paint. So it's just like, just enjoy something that you've never seen before because the guy's really stepping it up. It's really fucking annoying to have the Spurs just, reset again. Just the
and
bounce.
they're 5-0.
Yeah, they haven't lost a game yet. But I'll tell you what, if
no starting point guard in there, they're killing it.
If the Suns win this game, that's going to turn some eyeballs around the league and go, you know what? What they got going on in Phoenix, it might not be great, but it's heading the right direction. And that's what I kind of want because everybody just doesn't talk about the Suns anymore. I'm okay with that to a certain extent, but at the same time, wouldn't it be nice to beat the Spurs? It's always nice.
I think Saul put the comment up. Suns have 4 centers to throw at him. That means 30 fouls.
Yeah, but we have zero power forwards, and guess what? He's playing on that team.
Yeah, I know, but just
with Luke Cornett and Kelly Olynyk.
We've still got 4 centers for 24 fouls. Like, let's just bash him for a bit.
We got it. This is where I want to see come on Mala watch.
It's a
couple little groin punches at the
bring back the G Leaguers, run a 12-man rotation, 6 fouls each, 72 times we can bash Wemby.
Yeah, and he ends with 85 points because he hits all his free throws.
Yeah, but he'll be sore the day after.
No, that doesn't help us. Yeah, throw Jordan Goodwin out there and do some sack tapping. But well, that's all we got for this show. Anything you guys want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I'm good. Thanks for having us on.
I have a question.
The only thing I'll say is Aussie Suns fans tomorrow. We're going at about 11 a.m. Melbourne time. Now we're into daylight savings, so all the times are different. Keep an eye out on our Twitter feed. We will provide an update of what time we are going, but we are going tomorrow. We're going to wake Nate up at 8 a.m., so he's going to be in fine form. And yeah, come and support us. Like, I think John just said you're 1 like off 3,900.
Yeah.
We're like 1 like off 39. So come along and
nice. Get that 40.
Yeah. Subscribe, hit us up, get us to 40. And yeah, thanks for having us on again.
Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Nate, you had a question?
Yeah, this is probably for you. I mean, you're at the games. You get to hear K-Ray commentating. When and how is he calling Maluach Bam Bam? He's consistently calling him Man. I'm completely hearing that wrong. I keep hearing Bam Bam. I'm like, that's already taken. You can't just steal the name and apply it to another player. Man.
Yeah,
that's even worse.
I know. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the nickname. I like Mala Watchtower. I think PHNX came up with that. That sounds like an Espo thing. I don't like Man, and I get why. Come on, the last 3 letters are Man. That's what he was called at Duke. Yada yada yada. K-Ray says it every time he has an opportunity to talk about Mala Watch.
It's very irritating.
I just don't like it. I don't know. Like it's funny because I have some people at work and that's their thing. They like to call him Man, and so I'm adamantly against it. Well,
I mean,
we might roll out we might, given his first name's come on. You almost said come on. We might roll that out as Aussie style tomorrow night with a bit of come on.
You could be like come on, watch you come and go.
Send me that drop later.
You got it. I'll be up till 2 a.m. here, just making Aussie drops.
So we can use it to talk about the 2 minutes of gameplay.
We also need a who do you want to have a beer with drop. Just a hint under.
Oh yeah, I thought
do all that work for us, John.
Yeah,
do all that work for us, John.
I do all the work for all the Suns podcasts. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out.
Yeah,
you can follow him at Aussies Suns Fans on Twitter. You can follow Nate, DJ Nate. He's performing live in Singapore, throwing the best mix of the 80s, 90s, and today. But I love you guys. Truly appreciate you coming on. Everyone else, go home and love your family.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session Podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.